Go ahead and close your eyes. Start to transition from our busy morning onto our yoga mat. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and let out a sigh. We'll do that a few more times. Deep breath and let out a sigh. And then start to slow your breath down. Counting to 6 on your inhale and 6 on your exhale. Ground in to the earth, tapping into that energy. And allow the top of the head to reach towards the sky. Relax your facial muscles. Relax the jaw. Relax your shoulders back and down. Continue to create space. Start to let go of thoughts about the past. Let go of thoughts about the future. And allow yourself to be fully present. Continue to check in with your body, noticing any sensations going through the body. Give yourself permission to let go of anything that no longer serves you in this moment. With your eyes closed, go ahead and just gently sway the body from side to side. Rocking forward and back. If you want to open your eyes, you can. Circling around the upper body, going one direction. And then going the opposite direction. And then sitting nice and tall, go ahead and twist to your right side, peeling that right shoulder open, staying here for 3 breaths. Release back to the center and switch sides. Twist to your left side, 3 deep breaths. Come back to the center, bring both of the hands up to the sky, fold down, walking your fingertips away from the body, taking your gaze down towards the mat, feeling the stretch through the back of the sacral muscles, into the low back. Take one more breath here. Slowly walk your hands into the torso, sitting nice and tall. Let's go ahead and bring our right knee in, bending it, left leg stretches long, and we'll do a seated twist again, twisting to our right side. So hug the knee in, twist to your right side, taking 3 deep breaths. And then release and switch sides. Bend the left knee in, hug it in, twist to your left side. 3 deep breaths. And then go ahead and release. Bring both of the legs together, the feet together into a bound angle pose. Bring your torso down towards your feet. Feeling the stretch through the inner thighs, breathing. And then we'll bring the torso up. Take your hands behind, push them into the mat behind your hips. Open your heart towards the sky for cobblers pose. 3 breaths here, breathing into the throat, into the chest. And then go ahead and release. Let's open our legs wide. Wiggle onto those 2 sit bones. Walk your hands away from the body and come into a seated straddle. Come down to just where you start to feel that stretch through the inner thighs. Try to keep the spine in a neutral place. Bring your hands in towards the inner thigh, and then reach your right hand towards your right toes. If you could touch them, great. If not, just bring them to the ankle or the shin. Left hand is going to reach up to the sky. Good. Take your gaze up to the ceiling. Feel that stretch through that left side of the body. And then release and switch sides. Reach towards the left toes if you can. Bring the right hand up to the sky. Take your gaze up to the sky. 3 breaths here. And go ahead and release. And then let's bring both of the legs together for a seated forward bend. Wiggle onto those 2 sit bones. Reach both hands up, reach for those toes. If you can't touch them, that's okay. Reach for the ankles or the shins. Fold the body inwards. Take some deep breaths here. And then go ahead and bring the torso up. Bend the knees, bring your palms behind you, lift up into a reverse tabletop pose, opening through the heart. Breathing here, 3 deep breaths. And then slowly release down to the sit bones, and we're going to come into boat pose. Pull the abdominals in, balance here into boat pose. Do your variation. Try to stay for 2 to 3 more deep breaths. Release, extending through the feet, reaching up and forward bend. Stay here for 3 deep breaths in your forward bend. Bring the torso up, bend the knees, put the palms behind you, lift up into your reverse tabletop pose. And then slowly lower down, come into your boat pose. Hands reaching away from the body, hearts open, belly pulls into the spine. Gaze up to the ceiling if you can for a little more challenge. 2 more deep breaths. And then go ahead and release. And then let's bring both of the legs over to our left side. And then we're gonna do a side bend with the right hand. The right hand's gonna reach up and over, side bend in the body. And then release and switch sides. Bring the legs over to your right side. Left hand is gonna reach up and we'll do a side bend on this side. And then let's go ahead and come down into all fours pose. Transitioning, aligning your palms underneath the shoulders. The knees are aligned underneath the hips, and we're gonna kind of wiggle from side to side, feeling the stretch through the low back into the hip sockets, into the glutes. And then let's do a cat-cow flow. Inhale as you open the chest forward. Exhale as you round into cat pose. I invite you to close your eyes during this sequence to really feel your body and go inwards. Feel the spine stretching and lengthening through each vertebra. Ground in with that breath. The breath really brings your attention to the present moment. And then go ahead and release and push back into child's pose. Extend the arms out long in front of you and push back into that child's pose. Forehead can come down to the mat. Take 2 more deep breaths here. And then come back up to all fours pose. And then we'll do a sunbird flow. We'll lift our right leg up. So bend the right knee, lift the heel up, take your gaze forward, and then exhale round, bringing the forehead to the knee. So we'll inhale, lift up, exhale, round. Inhale, lift up, exhale, round. Good, let's do 4 more. Inhale and exhale, good. 3, and exhale, round. Lift up for 2, and exhale, round, good. 1 more. Okay, and then let's release and switch legs. Left leg up, open through the chest, exhale, round, bring the forehead to the knee. Inhale, lift up, good, exhale, round. Inhale, reach up, let's do 4 more. 4, good. And 3, and 2, and 1. Good, go ahead and release into a wide-legged child's pose. Bringing your forehead down to the mat, the hips, the knees are open about as wide as your yoga mat. And sink the hips down, and we're really just releasing into this pose. And then come back up to all fours pose. And let's build on to our cow cat pose. So we'll do cow, cat, tuck the toes and lift up into your downward facing dog. Take a full breath here in your downward dog. Inhale, exhale. And then bring the knees gently to the floor and repeat the flow. Cow, cat, tuck the toes, lifting into downward facing dog. Full breath here. Inhale, exhale. Knees gently to the floor. Cow pose, cat, downward dog. Full breath here in your downward dog. Inhale, exhale. And then let's come into plank pose. If you want to modify, bring the knees to the floor. In your plank pose, we'll lower down, moving into a flowing plank flow. So we do cobra, release the nose back to the mat, push up into modified plank, and back into your downward facing dog. Okay, so let's work on 3 plank flows, doing your version, modify if you need to. Try to keep the hands shoulder width as you move through the flow. The elbows stay into the midline of the body through this flow. Try not to let them bow out. And really work on strengthening through the arms in this plank flow. So we have one more flow, and then we'll meet back into child's pose. Sinking the hips down, bringing the forehead down to the mat. And then bring your hands down next to your heels. Take some deep breaths here. Going inwards with the breath. And then slowly come back up to all fours pose. And then let's step our right foot off of the mat out to the side. We're going to do a side plank variation here. The right hand reaches up to the ceiling, taking your gaze in the distance. Take one more breath here. And then release to all fours, and then we'll switch sides. The left foot steps off of the mat out to the side. Left hand reaches up. Take your gaze to the distance. Stay here for 3 breaths, reaching fingertips long to the ceiling. Release back to all fours pose. Switch sides, back to the right foot stepping off. Right hand reaches up to the sky. Now I'm going to give you a challenge to try to bring the right foot, hover it off of the mat about an inch or 2, pointing the toe, staying grounded here, reaching long out of that right leg. Muscles are engaged. Okay, go ahead and release and switch sides. Left foot off of the mat, open up to the left side. Good, left fingers up to the sky. And then challenge yourself by bringing the left foot off of the mat, pointing the toe. I know. Good, go ahead and release. Wiggle it out. Okay, now let's go ahead and come back into child's pose. And this time we're going to bring our palms together over our head, and you're going to put a little more stretch into the bottom of the elbows to get the shoulder girdle to open up. All right, let's release and step our right leg forward for a low lunge. So the right knee bends, the left leg is back long, knees to the ground for that low lunge. Hands are either to the thigh or you could reach them up to the sky. Take some deep breaths here. And then release and bring the hands down to the mat, maybe a forearm or two, and you're going to bring them on the inside of this right knee. Relax the upper body down. Close your eyes and take some deep breaths here. Feeling that stretch through the hips. Go ahead and release. Bring this right leg back and we'll switch legs. Left leg comes forward. Right knee stays to the mat. For a low lunge on this side, hands are to the thigh, or you could reach them up to the sky. Stay grounded here, rooted, focusing on your breath, breathing. And then release, bringing both hands down to the inside of this left knee, a forearm or two. Feel the stretch through the hips. Take some deep breaths here. And then let's go ahead and release. And let's step both feet forward, meeting at the top edge of your yoga mat. Into a forward bend. Relax the head and the neck down to the mat. Sway from side to side. Half lift and reverse swan dive up to a tall mountain, bringing the hands to the heart center. Take a moment here, close your eyes. Bring your attention and your awareness to your alignment of your body here in mountain pose. So with your eyes closed, you should feel the spine stacking over. So you're feeling your ears align over the shoulders, shoulders over the ribs are over the hips are aligned over the knees are aligned over the feet. And we're really pushing the balls of the feet into the mat, staying grounded, connected. Go ahead and open your eyes, bring the hands out to the side, and we're just gonna inhale the hands up and then fan them back down to our sides. So we're exhaling. So inhaling the hands up and then exhaling back down to our side. Good. Gentle flow here with the arms. Inhale and exhale. On this next one, as we split the hands, we're going to swan dive down into a forward bend, half lift, and then reverse swan dive up into a tall mountain pose, bringing the hands to the heart center. Good. Flow again, bring the hands up to the sky, split the hands, forward bend, half lift, reverse swan dive up to a tall mountain pose, bringing the hands to the heart center. One more mini sun flow. Inhale up, split the hands, come into your forward bend, half lift, reverse swan dive up to a tall mountain pose, bringing the hands to the heart center. Let's go ahead and step back with our left foot. So our right foot is forward and we're in a high lunge. And we're going to pulse here into this lunge, gently bringing the left knee down, maybe almost to the mat, arms reaching up. If you can get the left knee to touch, so that's great. If not, don't worry about it. Just come down to a low place that's comfortable for you. And then bring the hands down, plant them into the mat, and we're going to step back into a downward facing dog. Come into a plank pose and lower down. Coming into cobra, releasing the nose back to the mat and then pushing it back up into downward facing dog. Switching feet, we're going to step our left foot forward, coming into that lunge. High lunge coming up and pulsing again, dipping the right knee down. If you could touch the ground gently, do so. Do that 3 more times, pulsing here. Release the hands down, step forward into a forward bend. Half lift, meet back into a chair pose, sit back, ground in. Bring your arms to about shoulder height or up towards the sky. And then I want you to look down in front of your kneecaps. See your toes peeking out in front of the kneecaps. Circle sweep the arms, release, stand tall, and meet into mountain pose. Take a moment here in your mountain pose. Close your eyes, check in with your body. Drink some water. And then we're going to move through another sun salutation. Let's inhale the hands up, split the hands, come into a forward bend. Half lift. Right foot steps back into a lunge. So your left leg is forward and the right leg is back into your high lunge, pulsing. Sweep the hands down, step back into your downward facing dog. Plank, flow, whatever variation, modify if you need to. Meeting back into downward facing dog. Switching feet, so the right foot's going to step forward. Coming into your lunge, pulsing here. Stepping forward, meeting into a forward bend. Half lift, chair pose, sink the hips back, ground in, looking down in your kneecaps. See your toes peeking out in front of the kneecaps. Circle, sweep the arms, stand tall, and meet into mountain pose. Close your eyes here, check in with your body, take some deep breaths. All right, let's go ahead and step back into warrior one pose. So with our right leg forward, we're gonna step our left foot back, bend the right knee, come into that warrior one pose, arms reaching up to the sky. Strong warrior one pose. Take some deep breaths here. Open up into warrior two pose. So your hips open up towards the left edge of your yoga mat. Good, arms reaching out in opposite direction. Shoulder blades back and down in their pockets in the upper back. Breathe. And then reverse warrior, right hand up, left hand to the back of the thigh. Good, keep the bend in that front knee. And then we're gonna cartwheel the hands down to the mat. Let's just meet forward into a forward bend, grabbing our elbows, swaying from side to side. Taking 2 more deep breaths here in your forward bend. And then slowly roll on up, 1 vertebra at a time, meeting into mountain pose. Take a breath here, check in with your body. And then switching sides. So now we're gonna step our right foot back, left knee is forward, bent. Warrior one pose on this side, arms reaching up. And then open up into warrior two pose. So now your hips open up towards that right side of your yoga mat. Good. Arms reaching out in opposite direction. Keep the left knee bent. And then reverse warrior pose. Reach the left hand up to the sky. Right hand to the back of the thigh. And then cartwheel the hands down, meet into a forward bend. Grab your elbows and sway from side to side. Slowly roll on up, one vertebra at a time, nice and slow. All right, go ahead and open sideways on your mats. Good. Bend the knees. Bring your hands to your thighs, and we're going to dip the shoulders down, alternating. And then let's flow with a sunflower sequence. Inhale as you come up. Exhale as you sink down. Good. Inhale as you reach up. Exhale as you sink. 3 more. 2. And 1. Good. Come into goddess pose. Bring in the hands to the heart center. Bend the knees, sink the hips down, ground in with the feet. Toes are open about 45 degrees. Tuck the tailbone slightly. Breathe here. 3 more deep breaths. And then flow. Inhale up. Exhale as you sink down. Come back into goddess pose, sink the hips down. Good. Hands are to the heart center. See if you can come to the balls of the feet. Try to stay for 2 to 3 more breaths. Core is engaged. And then release and flow. Inhale up. Exhale as you sink down. All right, now let's see if we can come down into a low prayer squat here. Use your hands as needed to support you, or a block. If you need to sit on the block, you could sit on the block. You need a block. Okay. Take a moment here to just kind of settle into this pose. Breathing here. Present moment awareness. Go ahead and shift your weight onto your right side. See if you can stretch the left leg out to the side. Use your hands as needed. You can keep them to the ground in front of you if you want, or bring your hands to prayer pose, your choice. And then we'll release and switch sides. Shifting our weight onto our left side. Good. Right leg stretches out long. One side might be more flexible than the other. That's typical. Breathe here. 2 more deep breaths. And then go ahead and release. Good. Bring your hands to your thighs and come on up. And then bring your legs together and meet into mountain pose. And then let's come into tree pose. So I'm going to have you guys shift your weight onto your right foot. And the left toes are going to tippy toe to the ankle, shin, or the inner thigh. Take your gaze into the distance. Bringing the hands to the heart center. If you want to bring your arms up, you can. Stay grounded, connected, and rooted here. Go ahead and bring your hands to the heart center. See if you can come into standing pigeon. You're crossing the left ankle on top of the right knee, sitting back, staying balanced and centered. And then slowly release, coming up, switching legs. Okay. All right, so let's shift our weight onto our left foot. Hands are to the heart center, right toes come into the ankle, shin, or the inner thigh. And bring your arms up. Bring your hands to the heart center, and then we're going to cross the right ankle on top of the left knee and bend the left leg as you scoot your hips back like you're in a chair. Staying grounded, centered here. And then go ahead and release when you're ready. Okay, go ahead and shake it out. Twist from side to side, and then we can come back a long ways on our yoga mat so we could step back into downward facing dog, and we're going to move into our hip opener pose. So let's lift our right leg up and bend the right knee, circle the right knee to open the hip a little bit more, and then we'll bring that right leg forward for pigeon pose. Taking a moment here to kind of rock side to side and roll. Come down to the forearms. Close your eyes. Relax the head and the neck down and just go inwards in this pose. In your pigeon pose, drawing your attention inwards. And then go ahead and release and bring your hands just in front of your body, open through the chest as you lift up, really arching the back. Take your gaze towards the ceiling. Feel the stretch. And see if you could take the left hand behind and reach for the left foot as you bring the left foot in towards the torso. Reach behind and see if you could pull it in gently. Reach for the ankle, do some circles, small circles if you can. Getting a nice stretch through the front of that quad muscle. Go ahead and release. Step back into your downward facing dog. March through the feet. Good. Wiggle through the tailbone. Left leg lifts up, circle through the left knee. Bring the left leg forward for pigeon pose on this side. Close your eyes. Come down to the yoga mat, down to the forearms. Take some deep breaths here. Go ahead and bring the torso up, pushing your palms in, arching through the back, taking your gaze towards the sky. And then try to reach your right hand behind you. Reach for the right leg as you bend it in. Do some circles, little circles. You'll notice one side is more flexible. Ah. All right, good job, you guys. Okay, so let's come into bound angle pose. And we're gonna recline back onto our backs and recline bound angle. Let your hands rest on your belly. And do a few deep belly breaths here. Just letting the belly rise and fall. So it expands on your inhale like a big balloon. And then as you exhale, you feel it deflating into the spine. And then go ahead and bring your left knee over to meet your right knee. So you're going to clamshell the legs over to the right side, and your arms can come out like a T onto the floor. And then we're going to open the legs back into bound angle and then switch sides. Bring the right knee over to meet the left, clamshelling on the left side, and then opening up, and then clamshelling to the right side. So we're just rolling side to side here. And then bring your legs to the ceiling for a legs up against the wall pose. Allowing the circulation to drain. And then go ahead and point your toes and flex through the feet. Point the toes, flex through the feet. Good. Point and flex. Point and flex. Point, flex. Good. All right, now let's come into happy baby pose. You're going to reach for the insides of the feet or the big toes. Work on pulling your knees in towards the rib cage or in towards the armpits for happy baby pose. Try to tuck the tailbone down into the yoga mat. Just breathe here, just settle into this pose. Open the leg out to the side, the right leg out to the side for wide-legged baby pose, and then bring the right leg in and we'll switch sides. Left leg opens out to the side. And back to the center, switch, right leg out to the side. Come back to the center, switch. Left leg out to the side. And then lower the feet down, bending the knees, and we'll come into bridge pose. The hands will come down next to the mat, pushing palms in. You're going to scoop the tailbone and lift your hips up as high as you can. For bridge pose. And then slowly lower down, one vertebra at a time, hugging the knees in and rocking side to side. Let's do bridge pose again. Lower the feet down. Push your palms into the mat. Lift your hips up as high as you can. If you want to interlace your fingers underneath, you can. Squeezing the shoulder blades together. And a little more challenge here, lifting the right leg up to the sky. Pointing the toe, lifting the hips. And then lower the right leg down and then left leg up. Lower that leg down, slowly into the hand, and slowly come down one vertebra at a time. Rocking side to side, hugging the knees in, massaging that low back. Go ahead and bring the right leg to the sky, lower the left leg down. So we're doing hamstring stretch here, using a strap, or you could grab the big toe if you want. Breathing into the back of that right leg, lowering left leg down to the mat. You want to do some abdominal work here, pull the belly to the spine, take your gaze forward down towards your toes, pull the belly in, bring the chin to the chest. And then slowly lower down, hug the right knee in, and then we'll pull it across. The hip, the left hip for a spinal twist. Go ahead and release to the center. Bring both of the legs, bend the knees, feet are flat to the mat, and then you'll lift your left leg up for a spinal twist. I mean, not a spinal twist, hamstring stretch, using a strap or grabbing the left toes with the left hand. Breathing here, straightening right leg down to the yoga mat. A little more intense stretch here. And then hug or do abdominal work here, pulling the belly to the spine, reaching the right hand down, taking your gaze towards the right toes. Go ahead and lower down, hug the knee in, pull this left knee across the right hip for a spinal twist. And then we'll go ahead and release, and we're going to spend the last few minutes in corpse pose. Go ahead and close your eyes. Let your palms face up. Relax the whole body down into the mat. Let's slowly wiggle our fingers, wiggle the toes. Stretch your arms over your head. Stretch one last time through the whole body as you roll over to one side and slowly transition up into easy seated pose.